Hello, everyone. I hope you had a good week, and I hope you will have a good Shabbos. This Erev Shabbos videos of our Torah, our learning, and everyone who's listening to it should be a merit for the hostages who are still being held in Gaza, now day 287. It should be a merit for the Chayalim who are fighting and for the entire Jewish people. This week's Parsha is Parshas Balak, and the Torah describes Bilam, the great non-Jewish prophet, even if not righteous, as Yodea Das Elyon, that he, so to speak, knew the supernal knowledge, the mind of God. And the Medrash, the Gemara explains, what does it mean that Bilam knew the mind of Hashem? It means that he knew and he could pinpoint the moment every day that Hashem was angry at the Jewish people, that even though Hashem's love is overwhelming, but every single day there is a moment in which he's angry at us, and Bilam was going to curse the Jews exactly at that moment, which was the one time that the curse could be effective. And miraculously, Hashem held back and repressed his anger, that he would not be angry even for that moment, and thus Bilam's attempted curses were turned into blessings. How are we to understand this medrash? What is it meant to teach us? How can we apply it to our lives? The Mishnah Perkei Avos says that Bilam had an ayin ra, a bad eye. And one quality of someone who has a bad eye is that they focus on the negative. They focus on what is bad, whether it's how they perceive others, how they perceive themselves, how they look at experiences, their life in general. There may be a lot of good, but the question is, what do you focus on? What do you spend the most time thinking about? And someone with a bad eye will focus on the bad, and that is what Bilam did. Of course, in every relationship, there are moments when one person, one party, will be upset. And so mirroring human relationships, generally speaking, even though Hashem loves us almost every moment of the entire day, but there's one moment where he'll get angry at us. And of course, then it will pass and his love will return. And Bilam was able to have the spiritual power to focus on that one moment, to ignore, to forget all the other love that exists between Hashem and the Jewish people, and to harness that little bit of negativity. Of course, the lesson is that that is an evil, a wicked, a corrupt, and really an incorrect way to see the Jewish people, to live our lives, and to serve Hashem. If you only focus on the bad, then of course all you'll see is bad, but really there is so much more. We have a similar idea in the simple meaning of and reading of the psukim. As the story goes, Bilam was traveling to Balak to curse the Jewish people who's riding his donkey. Hashem sends an angel to stand in their way. The donkey veers off the path, and 3 times in a row, Bilam is so mad at the donkey. He's annoyed, and he's striking the donkey. And finally, miraculously, the donkey speaks, and he says, "Why are you hitting me?" And Bilam says, "What do you mean, why am I hitting you? You're not listening to me. You're going off the road. If I had a sword, I'd kill you." V'tomar Asona, the donkey responds, "Hello, Anochi Asoncha Shirachaf Meidcha Yom Hazeh. I've been your donkey, your faithful donkey, for years. I've done so much for you. I've carried you so many times. Have I ever acted like this?" Vayomer Lo, Bilam says, "You're right, no." This was his donkey, his faithful donkey. He had done so much for him. And so one day the donkey's having a bad day. And Bilam, though, is so focused on that negative, bad behavior, he'll kill him. And he'll just forget about all the other good, all the other loyalty that this donkey has showed over years of a relationship with Bilam. The Mishnah Perkei Avos teaches, Havidanis kol adam l'kafsuchos, to judge people favorably, which is a very important attribute in our ben adam l'chavero spiritual lives and personalities. And traditionally, that is explained that if you see someone do something, if someone interacts with you in a way that you find upsetting or insulting, something seems to be that the person is perhaps breaking a mitzvah of the Torah, we should judge it favorably, meaning we should, if there's a way to explain it so that it wasn't wrong, we should in our mind assume that that's the explanation. If there's a way to limit it, to assume the person didn't know, or the person did it by mistake, or the person was having a hard day, we should, again, explain away or limit, minimize the actions of others that we could interpret in a negative way. But there is another way to fulfill the attribute of judging people favorably. The Mishnah Perkei Avos says again, Havidan es kol ha'adam Lakafsuchos, which can be translated as you should judge the entire person favorably. Because sometimes there may be someone who did something to us or to others, who perhaps acts in a certain way or has a certain quality, which really there is no reasonable way to explain. It upsets you. You disagree with it. You think it's wrong. They hold a certain belief that you think is wrong. In that situation, what a person should try to do is, if you can't explain it away, minimize it, to say, listen, you're right, this person, I really don't like it that that person does that. It really annoys me that that person does it. It really upsets me, this belief that that person has. But you know what? That's not their entire person. If I think about it objectively, they also do a lot of good. They also have a lot of positive attributes. And so when I think about that person, I'm not going to focus on the bad. Bilam focused on the bad. The whole day could be beautiful. The whole day could be filled with Hashem's love. But if there's one moment of negativity, of anger, he'd focus on that and not let anyone else think about anything positive. Mishnah contrasts the students of Avram with the students of Bilam. To be a student of Avram is to have a good eye, is to focus on the good. That even if there is something negative or bad, whether it's in someone else or in a certain experience, or something in a community or in an organization, it's okay to recognize that fault, that imperfection, something which is perhaps bad or upsetting, but to hopefully see it in the proper context and say, but you know what? There's a lot more good than bad. There's a lot more good than bad in that person, in that group of people, in that section of the Jewish people, in this organization, in this show, whatever it may be, to try to focus on the good and not focus on the bad. And if we do that, if we see the good in others, if we see the good in other institutions, if we let the good define for us how we perceive them and interact with them, then that is how Hashem will interact with us. He will see the good in us and not focus on our faults. And as Hashem blessed the Jewish people in this parsha through the words of Bilam, so too Hashem should bless us all. Everyone should have a good Shabbos and a Shabbat Shalom.